Hey, welcome back. In this lesson, I'm going to be talking all about clients that users can use to access their email. And in this video, I want to talk about a client called Outlook on the web. Now, if the phrase Outlook on the web seems a little unfamiliar to you, don't worry about it because my guess is you've probably seen this before. It's just that Microsoft's marketing department kind of has a habit of changing the names of products and features every few versions. So, Outlook on the web has actually been around for a long time, but under different names. It used to be called Outlook Web Access, and then at one point it was changed to Outlook Web App. Now it's called Outlook on the web. So, with that said, I want to show you how this works. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my browser. I've got a Windows 10 session and I'm using Microsoft Edge. Let me go ahead and enlarge my browser. And I'm going to type the URL. So, I'm going to say https colon slash slash, and I'm going to go with exch1 in this case. It's just the name of my Exchange server, .posydemo.com, and then slash OA. Again, OA stood for Outlook Web Access or Outlook Web App. Microsoft kept the same URL just to keep things from being too confusing, even though the feature name has changed to Outlook on the web. So I'll go ahead and press enter. And the first thing you're going to see is a certificate error. There it is right there. Now, the reason why we're getting a certificate error has to do with the fact that Exchange is still using a self-signed certificate, which isn't trusted by this machine. So I'm going to be talking all about certificates and trusts and that sort of thing in the next lesson. But for right now, we can just ignore this error. I'm going to do that by clicking continue to this web page, not recommended. And that's going to load the Outlook on the web interface. So as you can see, the sign-in page looks a lot like Microsoft Outlook. I'm going to go ahead and sign in as a standard user. I'll use the user2 account. So I'm going to log in as posydemo/user2, and then I'll enter my password and click sign in. And because this is the first time I've ever signed in with this account, I'm going to receive a couple of prompts that I'm going to have to respond to. This isn't something that has to be done every time, but in this case, we do have to do it. I'm going to specify my language and my time zone. I'm on the East Coast, so I'm going to go with Eastern Time and click save, and I'll be taken into Outlook on the web. So here's the Outlook web app interface, and you can see that it looks a lot like Outlook. So we have the user's mailbox, user2 in this case, and then we have all of the mailbox folders, things like inbox, drafts, sent items, deleted items, junk email, notes. Now, one thing that you'll probably notice right off the bat is that this interface is very, very empty. And there's a good reason for this. Remember, this is a brand new Exchange Server deployment. As a matter of fact, this is the first time that I've even logged into a mailbox. So nobody has sent or received any emails yet. But I wanted to at least pull this up so that you could get a preview of what Outlook on the web looks like. So let's go ahead and compose an email so that you can see how that works. So I'm going to go up here to New, and I'll go ahead and click on that. And you can see the interface over here. And I'll send a message to user 1, and I'll also send it to myself. And I'll also send it to user 3. And I'll give this a subject of welcome to Exchange. And we could put anything we want down in the body text. I'll just say greetings, welcome to Exchange. And you'll notice that we have all of the standard items right here that we could use to format the text: bold, italics, underline, highlight, font color, etc. So this is a graphical interface. We can format rich text. I'm not going to worry about doing any of that. I'm just going to send the message. And after a couple of seconds, the message pops up in my inbox because I did send it to myself. So we can see the message right here. If I click on the message, I see a preview of it off to the right, or I could double click on the message to open it. So there's the message, and I of course have reply options. I could reply, reply all, forward, delete, mark as junk, mark as read, flag, print. So I've got all the basic options that I would have in a normal Outlook environment. I'll just go ahead and reply all, and I'll just say something simple like thank you, and click send. That way we have a couple of messages in some of these inboxes later on when we start doing things with mail. Now you'll notice I have a message here from user 2. It's because I did a reply to all. But you'll notice that the reading pane shows this message, but it doesn't show up here in my list of messages. And the reason for that is because Outlook on the web uses something called Conversation View. So if you want to see the individual messages that make up a conversation, you'll notice that there's an arrow right here. And we can click that arrow and then we can see the individual messages and we can click on a message to open it. Now, what about configuring Outlook on the web? Well, we have a gear icon right here that we can use. And if I click that, we can go down to options and we have a ton of different configuration options. Everything from automatic processing, automatic replies, inbox and sweep rules, mark as read, message options, conversations, basic email signatures, calendar, other. So we've got all of these things. Now, admittedly, this list can be a little bit overwhelming. It can take a while to go through all of these options. So I recommend checking out Shortcuts because Shortcuts provides hyperlinks to the most commonly used configuration options. So we have things like add an email signature, rearrange the reading pane, change the layout of the message list, change how email conversations appear, set up an automatic reply message, create inbox rules, forward email to another account, and connect you to other email accounts. So these are the most commonly used options, and Microsoft provides shortcuts to those options. I'm going to go ahead and go back here. Now there's one big difference that you might have noticed between Outlook on the web and Outlook, and that is that Outlook does more than just provide you with your email. For example, Outlook has a calendar. So where is that? Well, if I go up here, you'll notice that we have an icon that's a blue square with a bunch of tiles in it. If I click on this, then we have access to calendar, people, that's our contact list, and our task list. So if I click on calendar, for example, then there's my mailbox calendar. And I can create appointments, I can view appointments, that sort of thing. If I click again and go to people, I'm taken to my contact list. I don't have any contacts right now, but if I wanted to create one, I could certainly do that by clicking on new. And then I can also go to my task list by clicking on this icon and then clicking task. And then here's my task list. Once again, I don't have any task, but I could easily create one by clicking on new and then entering the specifics for the task that I want to create. So that's just kind of a quick preview of how you access and use Outlook on the web.